This is the 18th part in my project to recreate Kings Island in Parkitect. In this part of the project, I focus on recreating the roller coaster known as Backlot Stunt Coaster. This ride officially opened at Kings Island on May 20th, 2005, as the Italian Job Stunt Track. There was an exact clone of this ride, built at Canada's Wonderland during the same year, and 1 year later there's one built at King's Dominion. This was back when Paramount owned Kings Island, Canada's Wonderland, and King's Dominion of course though. That's why the name is different now. In 2008, following Cedar Fair's acquisition of these parks, the name was changed to Backlot Stunt Coaster. This removed all of the Italian Job theming, along with some of the ride effects. Backlot Stunt Coaster is a steel-launched roller coaster manufactured by Premier Rides and designed by Werner Stengel. It utilizes a LIM launch to reach a top speed of 40 miles per hour. It has a height of 45.2 feet, a drop of 31.2 feet, and a track length of 1,960 feet. Once again, if you see my screen go black, that's just me switching monitors to look at Google Earth on my other monitor. I'm using Google Earth on this project to get measurements for paths, track, and buildings. Right here, I'm finally starting on the ride layout now that I'm done with the queue. Now, due to the way that the coaster builder in Parkitect works, I'm not able to get some of these angles correct. The coaster builder in Parkitect only allows for 45 and 90 degree angles. So if you need a 20 degree angle or a 30 degree angle, you're out of luck. This can make recreations a little difficult, but I kind of like the challenge. The game only allows station buildings to be built at 90 degree angles, which is why Backlot Station in this recreation is at such a weird angle. You might notice a lot of quirks like this throughout the ride layout, but that's just the nature of the game, and I try my best to work around it. Now, if you've never ridden this ride, you need to ride it at least once, just to experience the starting helix. This is one of the most intense helixes I've ever ridden, and I've actually blacked out from it. I don't know what it is with Kings Island and intense helixes, but this one's really fun. But quite frankly, besides the launch and the helix, I wouldn't say there's anything too special about this ride. Nonetheless, it's a great family coaster. This coaster features some really tight maneuvers and often winds around itself. These parts of the ride were really difficult to recreate in Parkitect. It was difficult to align the track at a specific angle that it needed to go without colliding with the previous track. I was finally able to get a version of the layout somewhat faithful to the real-life counterpart, but it's still pretty janky. Nonetheless, I think this was the best possible outcome of the layout, so I'm pretty happy with that. I was debating whether to work on Coney Mall or to recreate Backlot Stunt Coaster after finishing Rivertown, but I'm glad I chose Backlot. I feel like this ride is the centerpiece of this area and helps tie together Rivertown and Coney Mall. I think starting Coney Mall after building this will be a lot easier, since this ride can also serve as a reference point. This ride's mid-course brake run usually features fire effects and a helicopter with sound effects, but unfortunately to my knowledge, Parkitect doesn't have any helicopter models. Plus, on the real-life counterpart, those effects stopped working years ago, so this recreation is missing those effects, but I guess you could just call that realism. Fun fact about the little pit the ride dips down into, this used to be a pool of water, and you can still see some pipes and drains. I have no idea why they removed the water effect and they drained this pool. If you have any idea, let me know in the comments down below. I think this would be a really cool effect for them to bring back. If my voice sounds off at all, I've been fighting a cold or some type of illness for the past 2 weeks, so it's been a little hard to record audio and content in general. So I apologize for the lack of content and the sound of my voice, but I promise I have lots of things in the works, so stay tuned. Now that the layout itself is done, it's time to add some decorations to the ride. This includes texturing the ground, adding some tunnels, adding some buildings, and of course, trees and other scenery. And the real-life counterpart of this ride? The tunnels the coaster goes through are disguised to look like shipping containers. I tried my best to recreate that in-game, but it was hard to create that in some areas without intersecting with coaster track. I think the end result of the tunnels turned out pretty decent, all things considered. And once again, just a reminder, you can feel free to use any of these rides and coasters in your own park in Parkitect. There's a link to my page on the Steam Workshop in the description of this video. All of the rides and coasters I've recreated in these videos are available for download for free. I actually bought my Kings Island Platinum Pass this week, and was planning to go to Carowinds this week as well, but unfortunately that didn't happen because I'm pretty sick. Renewing my Platinum Pass is pretty exciting though, because it helps me look forward to all my new trips this year. Even if it carved a $270 hole in my wallet, even though I probably won't make it to Carowinds this week, I know I'll definitely make it there later this year, along with Cedar Point, and maybe even some new Cedar Fair parks, like Valley Fair. Overall, I'm pretty bummed that I didn't make it to Carowinds this week. I'm super excited for the trips I'll be making this year though, and I'm glad to finally have my Platinum Pass. I know this isn't necessarily related to Backlot Stunt Coaster, but I'm still really excited about it and wanted to share it. This structure right here is a piece of theming meant to resemble a parking garage. In real life, it has the word parking in red letters at the top, but I wasn't able to recreate that in Parkitect, but it still has its basic shape. Right here, I'm just putting some fences around the Q bridge and creating a covering for it. After that, I'm beginning work on the station building. Now this recreation is almost done, but it still needs some finishing touches, like plants, trees, and fences. And finally, here is the finished product. Well, that's all for this part of the project. Like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.